Hey Dan, I'm back again with another video. Just wanted to give you some more updates. We're getting very, very close to finishing up everything outside of the cabinet as far as wiring testing. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to start getting this stuff all transferred inside of it and then doing some final testing. But I think we're getting rather close. So since last time I sent you an update video, I did a few things. Number one, I wired in the plunger, so your plunger now works. And I like this kit as well because this is a very solid mount. You're not going to have any issues with things coming apart on you. When I did my setup, I had to do things kind of, the amateur way. So a lot of it was kind of, trial and error, and it doesn't necessarily work the best. This is why I have to redo my cabinet actually in over the winter months, but that's another thing. So don't worry about this mess that you see here. All these wires are going to be cleaned up. I'm just doing a test run right now, so I didn't bother cleaning up a lot of this junk that's in here. That's all going to disappear. Your KL Shield is basically your controller board that's going to control all the buttons, all the output devices, your feedback devices for the cab. And then these little MOSFET boards, these little guys right here that you see, those guys are all going to control your toys like your solenoids, your flippers, your shaker, your gear motor, your beacons, etc., etc. All that are going to be connected here. What I've done is I started doing it. I was going to wire everything to this little board, meaning like all your feedback devices hooked up here. And then I thought it would probably be easier to just run these little mini disconnects, and I've tagged them all so that in case there's ever any issues, it helps you identify exactly what's what. This way it's easy to kind of connect and disconnect if it's required. Other than that, another thing I did is I'll come around here. I connected all the buttons to a piece of wood, just to kind of, let me just zoom in here. So pretend this is your cab. And what I've done, you can't really see, the LEDs on these bulbs are very weak. I'm going to have to buy new ones. Luckily, they're not, very expensive. But basically the concept is on games like real machines, when you first put in a couple of quarters of, the start button will flash. Lets you know obviously to start the game. Your extra ball button down here would also flash. Let me just zoom in here. There we go. That's also going to flash if a continue option is available. Your pinball sucks is your escape button. I thought I'd add a bit of humor. Once you're done playing a table, you're tired of it or you don't like it, you just hit the pinball sucks button and it comes back to the main menu. Your engage is your enter, and then you have your flipper left, flipper right, magnet save left, magnet save right. So these ones I'll show you how they work once I have everything set up in the cab. But let's say we got Medieval Madness on the system now. You put in your quarters, you hit your start button. And let's just see here. There we go. There you go. And so you'll see here the launch ball button is flashing. So what I've done, I didn't want to confuse you. On my setup, I have my plunger. And my plunger, if you push it in, it acts as a launch ball button. If I pull it back, obviously, on those regular, tables that have plunger setup, it will act just fine. On tables like Medieval Madness, the Shadow, Indianapolis 500, and a few others, they don't have plungers, so they have a launch ball button. So it's kind of difficult, to figure out which ones are which if you're not familiar with it. So I decided to do the plunger, and I decided to do launch ball for you. So those tables, that actually use a launch ball button that don't have a plunger, it will always flash. To let you know, obviously, to use that to launch the ball. It will work fine with the plunger, don't get me wrong, but I like having the authenticity of a real table. And then, again, let's just go over here. I'll zoom in on the launch ball, and you would hit this, the launch ball, and there we go. So, that's basically it. It's going to do its own thing now. I apologize for the bad angle, and there goes the ball. And then once the ball drains, and the ball's in the chute again, and it's going to show the launch ball button. Once the game is over, if there's a continue option, the extra ball button down here will light up. It's not connected now because I had to use the LED from it to use it on the launch ball button. And that's it, buddy. Like, your buttons are basically done. The next step for me is going to be in just hooking up a couple of toys, like a fan, the gear motor, some contactors and solenoids to make sure all that works. I know it does because obviously these, the buttons are working, which is sort of like all interconnected. And you know what, believe it or not, that's it. After that is just transferring everything over to the cabinet, as I said at the beginning of the video, and we're done, man. We're done. So, hoping you're enjoying the updates, and we'll talk soon.